Hello, it's a new week. It's a new edition of Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, the #1 tennis betting podcast brought to you in association with Bet Rivers, your hometown sportsbook. And we're happy. We're happy. The Asian swing has brought us some cheer. It's brought some end of season cheer. We almost went close last week, the 20 to 1 finalists. And today, our Astana pick from Mr. Sean Calvert, our senior ATP Tour handicapper, is joining me this evening. Adrian Mannarino. Yo, Adrian, we did it. We did it. Rocky Balboa. Big winner there, 16 to 1. Adrian Mannarino got through. A nice winner, a nice couple of weeks, Sean, are in profit. Looking, the ship is sailing into nice, cool waters at the moment.
Yeah, it's the variance of those outrights again, isn't it? You know, we've struggled with them a lot this season. And then you get two in 2 weeks. That's sometimes how it works. You know, you always hit a few big price ones in the year. They don't normally all come in little spells. I'd like them to be spread out. One every month or so would be nice, which is pretty much what we got last year, wasn't it? This year it's been tough, right? I did check into this actually. Over 70% of the tournaments this year have been won by one of the top 4 or 5 seeds. So it's been kind of slim pickings for big priced outrights. Only less than 30% of the tournaments have been won by someone outside that top 4 or 5 in the market. So it's been difficult. It's nice to get that over the line, although Mannarino didn't exactly do it easily, did he? Setting a break down, then he thought, well, it is a final. I might start playing now. And he managed to take advantage. Quarters, by the way, I don't know whether you saw my Twitter. His record now is 3-14 win-loss in finals quarter at all levels. That includes futures and challengers and stuff. So it's tough times for him, but frankly, at the moment, who cares? we needed him to do us a favour, didn't we, to be honest?
Exactly. He's taking our profit up to 14.84 points here on the show. I think that's higher than that. I need to check that because I think that's higher now. I think we were like 7 points up before we had a 16
I think it's the different odds on Mannarino. I think he was about 10s, wasn't he?
Oh, okay. I need to check. Anyway, I'm going to check it out. I'm in a sort of confident mood, so I'm going to check that out. But at the moment, we're saying 40. It's profits.
Doesn't matter. It's reasonable, isn't it?
Nah, it doesn't matter. When we were losing it, every point mattered. But it doesn't matter. It's no problem. It's
you
fine.
check it out. You do the maths.
I'll check it out. I think it's more than that. But anyway, it's 14.84 points of profit we're showing at the moment, heading in to a big tournament. Obviously, the Asian swing going on now. We've had the warm-up, really, to essentially the main course, which is this week. It's the Shanghai Masters, the penultimate ATP Tour 1000 event of 2023. And it's a star-studded field. It's a 128-man draw. I had a panic up a minute ago, Sean, because my printer only printed off one sheet. And I thought Carlos Alcaraz had pulled out because he had Casper Ruud as the number 1 seed. I didn't realize that was the bottom half of the draw. But
there'd have to be a lot pulled out for him to be the number 1 seed.
I know.
He's great, isn't he?
Anyway, we've got the draw. It's 128 man field. The number 32 seeds all regress through to the round number 2, the round of 64. So they have a bye in the first round. We had a little bit of indication today with the arguably the best 4 players in this tournament: Medvedev, Sinner, Alcaraz, all in action as well. And I can't remember who Medvedev played. Who did Medvedev play today? He played
Zverev today.
So arguably probably the best, some of the best 4 players in the world at the moment. And we saw a little bit of what they were about today. Medvedev was very impressive against Zverev. And obviously Alcaraz was very poor against Jannik Sinner. We'll come on to your thoughts on that, on how it will affect the outright market in a minute. But before we go into that, this is the first time this tournament's been played since 2019. Obviously, it come to the ATP Tour in 2009. The first year it was won by Nikolai Davydenko. He beat Rafael Nadal. But ever since then, it has been won by the best players in the world. Andy Murray, Novak Djokovic, Roger Federer, and Daniil Medvedev won it in 2019 when he beat Zverev in the final, in a very one-sided final the last time this was played due to the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. So favourites here on the outright market certainly do have a good record. We've had some shock finalists, but it usually goes to one of the top seeds. I mean, you've got to go back a long time to Davydenko, probably in 2019, where it hasn't been won by someone in the top 4 of the seeds. Before we go on to that, though, let's have a look at the conditions. Give us your thoughts on the tournament as a whole and what conditions do players have when they arrive in Shanghai this week.
Well, if it's the same as it was in 2019 or similar, then it's going to be the quickest Masters 1000 conditions of the year. It was played on a Deco turf, outdoor hard court previously. It still is on a Deco turf, outdoor hard court. I think they're using Wilson balls from the look of what I can see from the people that photos and stuff of people that were warming up. They never give you this information on the website. Some tournaments do, most don't. Wilson is listed in their partners, as is Yonex, incidentally. But it looks to me like those are Wilson balls that they're using. If that's the case, and the court speed hasn't changed from 2019, then I would expect it to be quick. Previously, there were 82% holds of serve and 72.3% first serve points won, which makes it quick. 43% of the matches featured a tiebreak. In short, if it hasn't changed from 2019, it's going to be fast, or certainly what we would consider in today's terms to be fast, as in not slow, really, is probably the best thing to say.
Yeah. So if you look at the draw, Alcaraz is in the top half of the draw, along with Andre Rublev. Tsitsipas, obviously, he's the number 4 seed, but he's in terrible form. We wouldn't say he's in the number 4 seed in the world. And it looks as though the top half of the draw is a little bit easier than the bottom half of the draw that consists of Yannick Sinner, who just obviously beat Alcaraz today. Daniel Medvedev, and they're playing each other in the final in the tournament in I can't remember the name.
Beijing.
In Beijing. So much good. Champions League football's going on at the moment as well. We've got so much going on. So they're Zverev as well. So the bottom half of the draw definitely looks the tougher section of the draw. I think the top half, barring Alcaraz, looks rather weak. And Alcaraz comes here with a bit of an injury scale, playing you said he was bandaged up today, but he didn't play well at all. So he possibly could be a fade here.
Yeah, I mean, you would think if conditions are quick, which I suspect they will be, they always have been in the past, and Alcaraz is potentially injured. I mean, I didn't see all of that match by any means. I only saw the last bits of that Alcaraz match against Sinner, working on this draw. And he had a bandage on what appeared to be a bandage on his upper left thigh, Alcaraz. I'm not saying that's the reason that he lost today. It could have been a contributory factor. But if you add those two things together, poor form today against Sinner, I mean, he wasn't really close in that second set from what I could see. An awful lot of unforced errors. I suspect he's physically not well. And then you throw in these quick conditions as well. It could be ripe for an upset. As you said, as far as the trends are concerned, one of the top 6 seeds has always won this title. So no one outside the top 6 has ever won it. But there have been quite a few big price runners up, 200 to 1 to 100 to 1 runners up in the last 4 editions. I think off the top of my head, one of them was Borna Coric. I think Bautista Agut as well, I think was another one. So it is quite an interesting one for outrights. I've kind of broken it down by quarter. I haven't really gone too far in Q1 because Alcaraz is in there, and obviously prior to an hour or so ago, we were thinking that he's going to be the hot pot in that quarter. But I have got a couple of suggestions in a couple of the other quarters.
Well, let's look at the outright market prices at the moment, latest prices with Bet Rivers. And Carlos Alcaraz, the number 1 seed, the Wimbledon champion, is the favourite, plus 190. But he's questionable. The conditions will not suit him. The fact that he's coming in the back of one of his poorest performances of the year against Yannick Sinner today. Daniel Medvedev is obviously in some great form. He's been very consistent this year on hard courts. He's plus $4, so he's 4 to 1. He's in the bottom half of the draw. Yannick Sinner is $6. He's also in that bottom half of the draw. Alexander Zverev, 16 to 1. He's in the bottom half of the draw as well. So you can see 3 of the top 4 away from Alcaraz in that bottom half of the draw. Andre Rublev is 18. Alex de Minaur is 28. Stefanos Tsitsipas is 28. Taylor Fritz, 28. Holger Rune is 33, recovering from injury. Herbert Hurkacz, always a danger on these fast courts, 33. Karen Khachanov, I thought that he potentially could give cause Alcaraz some problems. He's 33 to 1. And Cam Norrie is 40 to 1. Now, Cam Norrie, I wouldn't bet him without your money, with anyone's money. But then if you look at outside that, you've got Tiafoe, who's playing some, he's had a great year as well. He's in that quarter 1. Taylor Fritz, as we've mentioned there, who's 28 to 1. He's in that quarter 1. Other potential, Sebastian Korda reached a final this week, but obviously his record in finals is pretty poor. Ben Shelton is in the tournament as well. Great US Open as well. And so this tournament is full of potential winners and upsets. Christopher Eubanks, Casper Ruud as well. It's going to be quick, so we probably got to look for fast servers, big hitters. I want to fade Alcaraz here at plus 190 personally. But I'm after looking at you, Sean, to tell me where the best alternatives in this draw are and where we can get the value.
I think as far as the value is concerned, I'm looking at Q2 and Q3 of this draw. The second quarter, I think this is really wide open. You've got Tsitsipas, who's in no sort of form at all. Rublev, I feel like it's probably too quick for him here in Shanghai. I think he likes a bit more time on the ball than he'll get here. Mannarino, who's obviously just played a long week in Astana. Davidovich Fokina could be a threat if he's in the mood, which, we don't know. I might be a little bit quick for him here, but I think he could be a threat, and if he has one of his better weeks. Tommy Paul hasn't been playing well at all since the US Open, really. He could come back to form here, but the way that he's looked in the last sort of month or so, that's not for me. Similar to Cam Norrie, he's not in any sort of form either, and you would have thought that he would like it a little bit slower than you would get here. Struff could be a danger, but he hasn't played a lot of tennis recently. You wouldn't have thought he'd have the physicality to go all the way. So I've taken a chance here on Ugo Humbert in this quarter.
On that's been betting weekly game bet match. Thanks very much for joining us. What? I can't believe I'm hearing this.
I think there's a chance. For him to get through this quarter. As I said, it's very weak. He's in great form actually at the minute. I know he's cost us a few quid over the years, but I don't mind backing him at this price. He's 80-1, and I think he's got a real chance of getting through this quarter. I mean, he's played some great stuff. He's a player that you've got to back when his confidence is high and these conditions are quick. It was a little bit slow for him in Beijing, and he still played really well. Beat Rublev, took a set off Medvedev. Quick conditions. I think he's someone to chuck a bit of pizza money at in the second quarter. I've also got a bet in the third quarter. Do you want me to go on to that?
Yes, by all means.
Okay, so the third quarter for me, again, pretty weak. You've got Casper Ruud in there. Doesn't look in the best of physical shape. He was coughing in Beijing. I'm not sure he's too well. And even if he is in peak fitness, fast conditions aren't helpful for him. Musetti, similarly, I would imagine it would be a bit quick for him. Holger Rune still looks like he's got quite a bit of work to do in terms of physicality and form at the minute after that back injury. Didn't look quite up to it in Beijing last week. Echeverry, wouldn't have thought would be anywhere near. So the two that look likely for me are Hurkacz and Diminor, and in these conditions, I've taken Hurkacz 33-1 each way. I think this is a section of the draw that a player with his weapons could progress through. Should he get through that section? Yeah, I mean, he would presumably have a tough semi-final, but he's beaten Medvedev numerous times. If it is Medvedev that does come through there, you would give Hurkacz a reasonable chance against what would be a tired Medvedev. So I think he's the bet. I think Q4 is difficult. There's a lot of players in there that could do. Sinner, Shelton, Felix if he finds his form, Zverev, Korda, Medvedev. That's quite a packed quarter. But I think quarter 2 and quarter 3 are the ones where you want to be putting your money. You might not be a fan of Humbert, but he has a chance in Q2, along with several others. Davidovich is another one, as I said, but Hurkacz, I think, is my one in Q3, although Diminor will have his backers as well, because players of his type have gone well here. Coric, Bautista Agut, they've used the conditions to their advantage, so he's another possibility in that third quarter.
John, I'm joking about Humbert. I've done my little jottings of the draw where I see the progression, and I concentrated on the top half of the draw rather than the bottom half of the draw because it was definitely the weaker section. I can see Alcaraz getting beat early. I've got Khachanov and I've got Tiafoe in the quarterfinals. In the other quarterfinal, I've got Humbert be either Davidovich Fokina or Mannarino, and I've got Davidovich Fokina. So
there you go.
I'm joking. I'm joking. So my quarterfinals in that top half of the draw: Khachanov, Tiafoe or Fritz. I've got Tiafoe stroke Fritz, and I have Humbert and I have Davidovich Fokina. So we're on a similar page, but it's just the fact it's Ugo Humbert, isn't it? I mean, he's cost us so much money.
I wouldn't be back. Yeah, I wouldn't be backing him as like a 2-1, 3-1, 4-1 favorite in a small tournament. But at this sort of price, I don't think you can really go far wrong with that. Even though you might get I expect you'll get a reasonable run for your money with Humbert if he carries on playing the way he played in Davis Cup and in Beijing. And remember, Beijing is another tournament where players have been complaining bitterly about the really slow balls. They use the head balls there that Medvedev said were fluffing up after about 1 or 2 games. Very, very slow conditions there, particularly at night. certainly when compared to Shanghai. You know, if it is the same here, if it's the same Deco turf as 2019, then this should reward the attacking power players.
Just another thing I would have mentioned before we move on to the matches. We've got 2 ATP or 1,000 events to come. Obviously, there's a lot of points there. There's the big money tournament in Turin, the end of tour and the season championships. And I've seen over the years that players come into these tournaments, and the players who've got an incentive to get into that into the spot, the 7th or the 8th spot, really raise their game. Where we currently stand now, Holger Rune is 8th. He's a sitting duck as far as I'm concerned. He's going to get Alexander Zverev is in 7th. Stefanos Tsitsipas can't buy a win at the moment. 3,580 points. If we go to number 9, Taylor Fritz is 3,020. And we have Alex de Minaur in 11, 2,550. So there is a huge motivation for those two players to have a good week this week that can progress them into the Tour Championships at the end of the season. So Taylor Fritz, I believe, here will be very motivated, and obviously in conditions fast, I think he could be a factor. And I agree with you, Alex de Minaur has got those points that he wants to get into the Tour Championships in Italy at the middle of next month. So that's an incentive, and it's something that I've used before. Especially in Paris, and it's been to my benefit, not so much in recent years because the places have always been sort of, we always know the 7 players or the 6 players, maybe one spot up for grabs. But back in the day, that was something I used to make money and used to get some shock results. And the players who need those points are actually a little bit more up for the challenge rather than the ones who aren't.
That's certainly a line of thought that I've had in the past. I would normally perhaps apply it slightly closer to the Turin date, but still relevant. I mean, these guys are, if they can get 1,000 points or 500 points here, then that's obviously money in the bank for them as far as that's concerned. Yeah, that is certainly a motivating factor. Yeah,
a win here for Taylor Fritz could take him from 9th into 6th. A win for Alex de Minaur could possibly take him into that 8th spot ahead of Holger Rune. So they are players that have massive incentive this week. There are other players who have already got their place. Carlos Alcaraz, his season's done, as I'm concerned. I think Alcaraz is just spent now. I want to fade him pretty much for most tournaments. I think his season's done. So there's sort of ways of thinking about it in this time of year. So have a look at that. Head to the BetRivers website. The Shanghai tournament, it starts the main draw tomorrow. Now, obviously, I said earlier that the 32 seeds have already got to buy through to the second round. So we were looking at some round 1 matches. And to be fair, they're not the greatest of round 1 matches. I think the tournament's going to get a lot better when we get to round 2. So let's have a look at the first match we're going to talk about. It's Nuno Borges up against Gregor Barrera. Barrera is minus 106 to win the match. Borges is minus 118. The spread is 1.5, and Barrera receives to 1.5 start. He's minus 139, and the total here is 22.5. These two players have never met before. But Borges is below Barrera in the rankings, despite being in favour of this match. He's 86. Barrera is 63. But if you look at the hard court form, Borges has a lot better season this year. He's 16-9 on a hard court compared to Barrera, who is 7 from 11. But Borges got beat by a quarter last week in Astana in pretty much straight sets. And Barrera's form coming into this tournament, it's been pretty poor. He got beat by Rodionov in the first round, and he played the Challenger event in Saint-Tropez, where he got beat in the last 16. It's a funny little market, this one, because there was money for Barrera early doors, and now, as we're going into the match, the money has come for Borges. So I'm not quite sure how you see this one going.
I see Barrera as pretty good value to win this match, to be honest. If conditions are as quick as I expect them to be, I'd certainly favour the more powerful Barrera versus Borges, who prefers slower surface, predominantly clay, but he can also play on sort of slowish hard courts. Both guys have struggled for form lately. Borges lost 8 of his previous 10 matches before stealing a win from Mikhail Kukushkin, really, in Astana. Kukushkin should have won that in straight sets. Borges really nicked that one from him before he went on to lose to Korda, as you just said. Barrera didn't make any impression really on the North American hardcourt swing. And he just only won the 1 match before heading back home to France. Then he made the semifinals in Rennes at challenger level. But it's all about conditions for Barrera. He loves it quick. We know that he enjoys the fastest conditions that we can get on tour. He showed that on grass, making the semifinals in Eastbourne. Played well in Miami as well. Beat Cam Norrie in straight sets comfortably in very quick conditions there. If we look at the 2023 season at main level away from clay, So every other surface. Borges is 310 win-loss, 23% win rate, and a service points won, return points won total of just 92. Barrère, 45% win rate and a total of 100. So some distance ahead there for Barrère. Similarly, service hold and break totals. Borges is just 88 away from clay at main level this season, and Barrère's on 100. So substantial difference for Barrère. The risk here, obviously, is the fact that Barrère hasn't been in particularly great form, but I'm prepared to gamble on the fact that conditions will suit him a lot more and suit Borges a lot less. Borges really struggles to return serves against the bigger hitters on the quicker surfaces. He's only won 31% of return points away from clay this season, and he's only broken serve 11% of the time. So having a lot of difficulty breaking against the bigger hitters in the quicker conditions. So I took Barrère earlier on at 1.95. I guess he's a similar sort of price to that now with Bet Rivers.
It's quite funny, Sean, because when you played, the money come for Barrère, but now the build-up, Borges is seeing some money. So I think you might get a little bit of a better price than the current -106. Well, I mean, head to the Bet Rivers website. This match doesn't actually start till Thursday morning. So it's not tomorrow. So there's no immediate rush. But I think you might, if the trend continues, the money is coming for Borges. So Barrère currently -106. Sean thinks that's a bet at -106. So help yourself to that now. But if you wait till Thursday, I don't think you're going to see much difference in the price that you've currently got on offer. So interesting to see how the market goes, because the market is undecided about that. But Sean Calvert is absolutely decided that Gregor Barrère is the bet here at -106. I mean, the next match we are going to speak about, this is also, again, scheduled for Thursday with all the players out for Wednesday. So very early start. So head to the Bet Rivers website. It's about 28 different markets on these matches. So a huge amount of props. And you won't get a better tennis service than any other bookmaker stateside than what you will receive here with Bet Rivers. But this match here, often against Varillas, talking about people who won't be suited by the fast conditions, these two will not be very happy about the conditions here. Sebastian Offner is -225, Varillas is +175, and Offner has come from a pretty tough week. He reached the semi-final in Astana. He's got to travel from Astana across to Shanghai. You're our geographical man. You'll be able to tell me how far that is, but I can't imagine it being a very pleasant journey. But Offner's -225. Varillas is +175. The head-to-head is 1-0 to Varillas. Varillas won in the French Open on clay. And he's a quite a big underdog here. He's +175. I'm going to give you some props in a minute after you give you your thoughts on this match. My thoughts here initially is Offner -225 after last week. Bit not for me.
Yeah, the lean here is Varillas. It can't really be confident because of his record on hard courts. In fact, neither is Offner's. Offner plays mainly on clay as well. But yeah, this is two clay courts playing on a quick hard court, isn't it? And the idea of this one is just about Offner and likely fatigue. He looked absolutely shattered against Mannarino in Astana in slow conditions the other day. I think it was yesterday, wasn't it? So very little time for him to prepare. You know, it's not round the corner. It's an 11-hour flight with a layover. There's no direct flights from Astana to Shanghai, so you've got to stop somewhere. And the quickest you'll do it is 11 hours. So he's had to leave Astana at some point, get a layover flight, 11 hours. Now he's got to go from what was a pretty slow indoor hard court to what will presumably be a very quick outdoor hard court. So very, very different conditions. He's got very little time to prepare. I would have preferred this, if I'm back in Varillas, I would have preferred this match to be Wednesday rather than Thursday. That's given Offner perhaps a little bit of time to sort of prepare. But you know, Varillas can play on hard court. He beat Kekmanovic at the US Open over 5 sets. I mean, I think it was 4 sets in the end, that match. But you're beating Kekmanovic at the US Open. You're a decent hard court player. Now, he hasn't shown it so far in his career. That's for sure. It probably will be too quick for him. But the lean here has to be Varillas. I couldn't possibly back Offner at that price.
Yeah, Varillas +175. I like the handicap here. I'm a little bit more careful on the spreads and on these kind of bets. I mean, the amount of times I bet someone at +175 has lost in a third set tiebreak and got the value. And I think the 3.5 here, Varillas getting a 3.5 start. I know it's quite short. It's -136 with Bet Rivers, but you can go to the website. You can move the toggle across the widget at the bottom, whichever you use it in the American terms, with toggle, widget, or button. You can get a 2.5 start. You might get about +110 for that. But I think Varillas getting the start is a decent bet here because it might take Offner a bit of time. He could lose the first set, There's 28 different props on this market. So head to there. Look for angles to get with Willis in set one. And the total here is 22.5. And it's pretty much you pay your money, take your choice with over minus 106 and under minus 121. Two players that probably will be suited by the conditions, unlike the last two we spoke about, is Aslan Karatsev and Quinton Halys. Both like it fast, both like hitting the ball quite hard and powerful. And the price here is Aslan Karatsev minus 225, Quinton Halys is plus 175. Now, if anybody watched Halys at Wimbledon this year, you'd be going down the mortgage, you're going down the bank and rolling out your life savings betting it at plus 175. But since then, he's done absolutely nothing. He's lost his last three matches in challenger events and tournaments, in the first round of the US Open, first round of Winston-Salem, lost in Bundesliga events, lost in challenger events after losing to Sinner at Wimbledon, really struggling for confidence. But on his days, he's a proven performer here. And he plays Karatsev, who is minus 225. These two are no strangers to each other. They have met 3 times before. Karatsev leads 2-1 on their head-to-head. Two of them, though, all three of them were actually in challenger events and future events. They haven't met on the main tour before. My first reaction here, Sean, is this: like, if Halys can turn that Wimbledon fall, and he's a big price. The spread here is minus 2.5, and the total is very high, 23.5, with over minus 105. What do you think of this one?
I think it's, if Halys is fit, it's a bettable price. This, I think it's a big if. Because, as you said, he's not done anything since Wimbledon. The last time I saw him play, actually, well, I saw him play in Winston-Salem as well, but where he was poor. But prior to that was Wimbledon when he played Yannick Sinner with a strapping on his leg that day. I don't think it's a coincidence that he's only played 4 matches since then and lost all of them. He might have played a bit of Bundesliga as well, but he's barely played since Wimbledon. That can't be there must be a reason for that. And I suspect it's that injury or another injury. But if he's fit, conditions should suit him. They should suit both men, as you said, Karatsev as well. They've met 3 times, as you said. Halys was around about a 1.5 minus $2 favorite both times they met at challenger level. And as far as the head-to-head's concerned, both men won 67% of service points and around about 34% of return points. Karatsev held 89% of the time, Halys 82% of the time. So, pretty close-ish head-to-head. If we just take the stats for outdoor hard at main level 2023, it's actually Halys that's got a slight advantage. He's got a service points won and return points won total of 102 compared to Karatsev's 101, and Halys has held serve 88% of the time at main level on outdoor hard this season. You would have thought the conditions here would suit him. I think it's just a question of, is he fit? I mean, this is a mandatory, so he might just be coming in here because he feels like he has to. That's what kind of puts me off backing him on the handicap, is if he's not up for this, that's a bad situation to be in. I quite like the look here of a set 1 tiebreak between these two. 3.35 that was, plus 235 I bet Rivers earlier on. Not sure if that line's changed, but that's kind of where I'd be looking here based on how these two play and the conditions that I'm expecting.
Yeah, exactly. The totals of which are 23.5, which is the highest on the next 2 days, and get a very favourable price on the first set tiebreak, which is a good way of thinking there to get the games on your side. So that's Karatsev v Halys. We expect a long match, and the first set could go all the way to a tiebreak. Remember to check the Bet Rivers website and click on the little button where they've got the extra bets. Whole host of markets there for this tournament here in Shanghai. Next match, Moutet. How do you read this guy? He's Corentin Moutet. I know you've seen him a few times.
With difficulty.
It's just impossible to have any read on this guy. This match is actually tomorrow. So this is a 3:10 a.m. start tomorrow morning Eastern time. So if you want to have a bet on this match, you're going to have to Bet Rivers website early. But he's playing Mackenzie McDonald, who's had a long season and not in great form. He's lost his last 2 matches coming into this tournament. Hasn't looked great. Has looked exhausted. Mackenzie McDonald is a heavy favourite at minus 305. Moutet is capable of winning this, but he's also capable of blowing 6 match point opportunities. He's plus 235. The spread is 3.5, and the total here is 21.5. I can imagine you here, Sean, going with some kind of strategy where the game takes a big turn. Moutet takes a lead, McDonald comes back, Moutet takes the lead, and then it's who holds the nerve at the end. So I think this is a great training game for in-play betting. if you take the Mute plus 235, I'm sure you're able to take McDonald a plus money price at some stage throughout the duration of this match. So a perfect in-running match, this one in its entirety. I wouldn't touch it with a barge pole if I was going to have a bet, but you've highlighted it, so there must be an angle.
Yeah, I just wonder if Mute's box of tricks might have its moments against McDonald here. McDonald doesn't have a great record against left-handers, as I've mentioned before, and he's coming off a horrible loss last week from 6-2, 5-1 up against Dimitrov. You know, it's not the first time he's lost from that sort of position. Did it again last week. That can't be good for the morale, particularly at this stage of the season. As I say, he doesn't have a great record against left-handers. If we look at his record against them at main level, he's got a 42% win rate and a service points won and return points won total of 97. Now, if we can compare that with his all-time record against all players, left and right, his record is much better. Well, a reasonable amount better, 47% win rate and a total of 100. So there's definitely a weakness there against left-handers. We know Mute has got all sorts of tricks in his box. That the concern is that he had a wrist injury earlier on at the season. I'm not entirely sure that that's completely fixed itself. He seems to be slicing the backhand quite a bit. Mute, I'm not sure he's quite over that yet. But McDonald may well start slowly after that horrible match against Dimitrov that ended so badly for him, and it might take him a while to come to terms with what Mute brings to the court. We've already seen one default this week, haven't we?
Yeah, that was amazing
in Shanghai. So Mute, he's going to want to catch up. He's not going to want to be out defaulted by somebody else. So expect some fireworks from him. The lean here, I've gone over 21.5 games. That was 1.91 with BetRivers when I looked at this earlier. I think this could be a real swingy one, as you say, a real trade. Maybe get with Mute early on. If he takes a lead, I wouldn't be sure he's going to see out a set. Maybe to get on McDonald then. That sort of thing. I think this could be an interesting one.
I think this is a great game for tennis traders. If you want to bet the plus money on two players and try and lock in a profit, this is the perfect match for you. Take the Mute price now. Head to the BetRivers site, watch it. You'll be able to watch it. You better live stream it once you place that initial play. You'll be able to watch the match. You will have a moment where I think you'll be able to bet both of these players at a decent plus money price, and then it's who else to nerve at the end of it. So a real swingy match there, Mute against Mackenzie McDonald. The final match in Shanghai is Alexander Vukic. He's up against Roberto Carballes-Baena. Vukic is minus 265, a very, very heavy favourite. Carballes-Baena is plus 205. But we have seen at Wimbledon this year, and we had to see at the US Open against Holger Rune, that Carballes-Baena can produce something. You know, for years he was someone to oppose on quick surfaces, and it might be too quick for him in this time around, but he can produce a match, a win out of nothing when he's not expected. Vukic has come through qualifying here. He got beat by Analdi in the last qualifying round, but he's got a place as a lucky loser. And his form coming into it has been pretty dreadful, but he has been nibbled at in the betting to minus 265. But Carballes-Baena, you know, I think plus 205 here is an interesting proposition, because he just surprises you in sometimes when you expect him not to do much. I don't know if you're the same thoughts on me here. These two players have never met before. But Carballes-Baena plus 205, I think that's a little bit generous for him.
Yeah, I'm not so sure this is automatically going to go the way of Vukic, as the odds makers are suggesting, and the bettors are apparently coming for it. I certainly couldn't back Vukic at that price. You know, he's shown very little since a very good US hardcourt summer where he made the final of Atlanta. Lost 4 of his last 5 matches, as you said. Lost to Taro Daniel when we backed him to beat Taro Daniel, didn't we, in Chengdu? Won the first set, couldn't keep his level up, started making errors, and Daniel just sort of took advantage, as Carballes-Baena will do. They're very similar kind of players. He will take advantage if Vukic can't keep his good level up. I took a look at Carballes-Baena's record against big servers. He has got a habit of keeping things close, particularly recently. He's played a tiebreak in 6 of the 9 matches and 5 of the last 6 that he's played against Cressy, Berrettini, Anderson, Querrey, and Nick Kyrgios. And he's won 2 of the last 3 of those matches that I just mentioned. So he's been decent against big serve. He's also got a very good record against Nicholas Jarry. He's beaten him 5 times. I know some of them were on clay, but 1 was on hard. And he's beaten him twice at altitude as well. So And he also has a good record at altitude, does Carlos. As you said, he beat Rune at the US Open, went pretty close against Karatsev as well. The match after that went that's a long 4 with the big hit in Karatsev. After the US Open, he's gone to Seville at the Challenger and won that tournament there. So he's feeling good about himself, about his tennis at the minute. So unless Vukic plays a really clean match, which he might, I think there's more miles in this than people think. There's 2 options here. Either take the over 22.5 total games. That was 2.04. That was a plus 104 chance of Bet Rivers earlier on. Or if you want a slightly bigger price, the over 10.5 games in set 1 was a 3.4 plus 240 chance of Bet Rivers earlier on. Those are the options. If you want to be a bit expansive, go for the set 1 overs. If you want to play it slightly safer, but the over 22.5 games. I've gone for the over 22.5 games here, but that's the line of thinking on this one.
Yeah, both those markets are still available on the Bet Rivers website on the Vukic Carlos match. I'm trying to see when that. Do you know when that one is? That tomorrow? Is that tonight?
I've not seen the schedule, to be honest.
Let me just try and find it. I think I'm looking at the schedule here. I can't see it in today's schedule, tomorrow's schedule. I think that's the early hours of Thursday morning as well. So the only match that I believe here that starts tomorrow morning, because we're recording this now on Tuesday, and the early hours on Wednesday morning stateside would be Mute against McDonald. All the other 4 matches start on the early hours of Thursday morning. So you have a little bit of time to place your bets, but the lines could move very quickly because the power of Calvert makes the lines move very, very quickly. Sean, just give us your quick rundown of your bets here for Shanghai. We'll start off with your outright picks. Who's your outright picks?
Yeah, 2 small each way bets. Ugo and Bear 80-1, and Hubert Hercash 33-1. Both those each way. As far as the match bets are concerned, I've just got 2 in what looks not the most appealing round 1 card, to be perfectly honest. But I really like these 2, which is Gregoire Barrère to beat Nuno Borges. That's a 1.95 chance with Bet Rivers, and the one I just mentioned, we just talked about a minute ago, which is over 22.5 total games between Vukic and Carlos. That should be around about plus 104 Bet Rivers.
Yeah, plus 104, the over 22.5 games, and minus 106 in American odds. Gregor Barrère up against Nuno Borges. But the line may go bigger on that because the money is coming for Borges in the last hour or so. So it might be worth holding on to to press that button to have a bet. Remember, there's 4 ways to follow us here on Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. You can download the podcast, Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, on your preferred podcast provider. You can also follow us on our standalone and very, very popular YouTube channel, Betting Weekly Studios. Amazing response of the followers there. We've only been having the YouTube channel for a few weeks now, but over 1,000 of you have subscribed to that. Please keep subscribing to that. Tell your friends to subscribe to that as well. Not only the tennis, there's some brilliant content on there. The Ryder Cup content last week, we had winners galore. We had some excellent runs on the soccer this weekend. The Premier League, Jack Wright, our handicapper in the Premier League, had a clean sweep. His 3rd clean sweep in 4 weeks. And also the Champions League action is just going to kick off in about an hour's time now over in the UK. But tomorrow on Wednesday, huge matches in the Champions League as well as the Europa League. And all the brilliant handicappers have you covered on there. And you can also follow us out on our Twitter account and our Instagram account at Because We Win. It's the handle on both of those. And the Instagram account has a lot of exclusive content that isn't available on the Twitter account. So please give us a follow, give us a like, give us a review. Any questions you have for Sean, please bear that in mind and give us a shout on that. I know Sean likes to ask your questions. And I do have a question, Sean. It's from Sean, another Sean. But this guy, Sean is Ireland. And he's actually tweeted me as we're live on air. He's asked me to ask you, what are your thoughts on the final tonight in Beijing, or tomorrow morning in Beijing? Tomorrow, 7:30 Eastern time, Yannick Sinner faces Daniel Medvedev. Daniel Medvedev has an overwhelming head-to-head record against Yannick Sinner. I think it's 6-0. He always beats the Italian when they play. He's minus 167 currently with Bet Rivers, plus 138 for Yannick Sinner. The spread is 1.5 and the total is 22.5. What are your thoughts on that final tomorrow in Beijing?
Nothing like putting me on the spot, is there? I haven't thought about it, but it's difficult to really suggest Sinner, isn't it, on the basis of the head-to-head that you just mentioned there. Yeah, he's going to have to do something different if he's going to beat Medvedev. The people that have had success against Medvedev, they have tended to use that serve and volley. Is Sinner capable of doing that? I kind of thought he was at one stage, but he didn't really do it. I think the last time I remember these two playing was the final in Miami, wasn't it? When we had Sinner, you were there, weren't you? That tournament. And he didn't. I know he had a sort of physical problems in the final. Sinner, as he often does.
Wasn't it? Vertigo. He had.
I don't know what was wrong with him.
He's suffering from vertigo.
Something was wrong with him, but assuming he's fit, which is never a given, he's going to have to do something different. He's going to have to come to the net more than perhaps he's comfortable doing. If he doesn't do that, I can't see him outlasting Medvedev in what are normally slow conditions. It's a night match, this, is it?
Yeah, 7:30 Eastern time. So that'll be 12:30 our time over here. So I don't know what the difference is from here to
about 7 hours, isn't it? Ish.
So it'll be about 7 in the evening, yeah.
Yeah, slow conditions at night with these slow balls. I think Sinner will find it difficult. I would assume Medvedev would win that, is the short answer, unless Sinner comes up with something different.
Yeah, and Medvedev is the favourite, -167. Head to the BetRivers website. Currently 36 different markets available on that final tomorrow morning in Beijing. It's 7:30 start. You can have a bet. You can watch on your way to work. Have a cup of coffee before you start. And hopefully Medvedev gets the job done and wrapped up. Very easy for Sean's pick. So there it is. That's the ATP Tour Shanghai, the 1,000 event, the penultimate 1,000 of the 2023 season. Where's it all gone? We'll be back on Thursday and Friday this week to look ahead to more action. It's going to be great tennis this week in the latter stages when the big seeds get going. And hopefully we can get someone through at a nice big price to carry on this fantastic run we're on. Congratulations, Sean, on your winner last week on Mannarino. Hopefully we can go cash some more tickets this week. Take care, everyone. Good luck with your bets, and we'll speak to you again on Thursday. Take care.